This is the New York Giants Sports Talk and Entertainment. Oh, it's report card day. We're going to say the first and second marking period are over, and it's time to assess the state of the New York Football Giants. And you know what? If you had to give them an overall grade, it's going to be a D. Not going to give them a failing grade. Even at 1-7, I'm not going to give a failing grade because the parts sometimes are not the sum of the whole. And what we need to look at is we need to look at the parts of this team. We're not going to do an individual breakdown of players and components. We'll do an individual breakdown of a couple players, but we're going to take a look more at the units themselves, which means the coaching staff, the defense, the special teams, and the offense. Let's start with the offense. All right, Daniel Jones. Look, the quarterback has a 1-7 record, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, completing 61.8% of his passes. You know what? We are going to give Daniel Jones a grade, and right now I have to give Daniel Jones an F. He has had moments where he looks like the NFL starting quarterback of our future, and he has moments where he looks like Scott Bruner. I mean, it's just not there for him right now. He is failing this team, and that's really all there is to be said about that. I mean, we could potentially be anywhere between, if you think of it realistically, we could be anywhere between 6-2. I mean, we could be 5-3. And it's funny because if we actually had a starting quarterback that progressed and did the things we needed him to do, we may potentially have a winning record right now. And then if we break it down into the running game is another one that gets a D-. But you know what? I'm not blaming the entire running game on the fault of the backs themselves. Of course, Barkley is out, so he gets an incomplete. Dion Lewis catching the ball has been his normal self. He hasn't been running the ball well. Why we are not using Wayne Gallman, I still do not understand. He has 37 carries for 154 yards at 4.2 yards a carry. And even Devontae Freeman has turned it on with 54 carries and 172 yards. So you know what? The running back position has not been horrid. The line play has been bad. If we take a look at the line, we have to be honest about our assessment on our line, not just judging off this last game in Tampa, but we get a solid D- on the line as well. Andrew Thomas, if we're gonna single a player out to grade, he's definitely got an F. I mean, he has just reached a point sometimes where he looks lost. He looks slow. Looks like he didn't have his reaction time. Looks like wasn't as strong as we thought he was going to be. It wasn't until we benched the mighty Will Hernandez with the COVID that we turned out that we saw potentially something in Andrew Thomas, but pairing him up with Shane Lemieux. The center situation with Nick Gates has been about what I thought it was going to be. Not spectacular, not fantastic, but not horrible. He needs to figure out a way to stop getting holding penalties. I've never seen a center get so many penalties, and like I said, normally you never hear the center's name unless he bobbles the snap. But like I said, Kevin Zeiler's had a down year. Will Hernandez has had a down year. I mean, it's just been a troublesome time. The wide receiving core, Darius Slayton has disappeared in games. Yeah, he's got 32 catches for 485 yards, but he's also not always around. He disappears in big moments. Sterling Shepard, he gets an incomplete because of the fact that, honestly, he's been hurt. And Golden Tate has just been a disappointment this year. If we had to break down a grade, it's going to be an F. We look at the tight end position, we're going to have to give them an F as well. Caden Smith is about what I thought Caden Smith would be. I was never a big fan of Caden Smith. And we also take a look at Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is just a nightmare in itself. I mean, if you really honestly want to break down the Giants' offense, it is truly a failing offense. And it has nothing to do with Jason Garrett, and that's what I'm going to kill people with. I am not a huge Jason Garrett fan, but Jason Garrett is not the problem here. It is the execution of the quarterback. People are like, why hasn't Jason Garrett opened up the system? Because his quarterback can't handle opening up the system. You've seen what he does when the pressure is on. Jason, and I love it because people are like, well, look at all the big runs Daniel Jones has had. Daniel Jones has those big runs because they are planned and designed runs by Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett has been a mastermind these last couple of weeks, picking apart defenses and going against their weaknesses and putting our team in the right opportunity to score. It's just our quarterback cannot execute. So I am actually going to give Jason Garrett a solid B+. Now, if we want to jump into the defense, oh my God. The defense itself has been, and I've said this 100 times, our defense is anywhere between a top 10 to a top 15 defense. I think they're like 4th or 5th in the league in sacks. They're getting to the quarterback. They're creating pressure. They are stopping the running backs once they reach the second level. Blake Martinez is just a vacuum with 82 tackles, 51 solo, 31 assists. I mean, Logan Ryan has been a godsend with his 47 tackles. Even Peppers has played well. But again, Peppers reminds me of Daniel Jones because he's a player of moments. He has his moments, and then he disappears. And that you cannot do. James Bradbury has been solid, if not spectacular. The last couple weeks have been a little interesting for Bradbury, only because of the fact that he has picked up some pass interference penalties, but he has played well. And same with Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams has been a surprise with his 4 sacks and 29 tackles. He has proven me wrong, and he's proven that he is a 3-down lineman. Now, if we take a look also, Kyler's got his 3 sacks, and he's got his 24 tackles, about what I figured out he would be. I am a little concerned about the middle of the line between Dexter Lawrence, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Leonard Williams, because we have been gashed a couple times on some big runs. The linebacker core outside of Blake Martinez has been an issue after Lorenzo Carter went down. Devontae Downs, just to me, is not a starting NFL linebacker. Tay Crowder, we have to see him play a game once he comes back against a team other than the Washington team. The secondary itself, outside of Bradbury, Isaac Yiadom. Isaac Yiadom has been Isaac Yiadom. Julian Love has looked good in spurts, but then has also kind of gone into the tank once in a while. Corey Ballentine he's just a waste of space. Ryan Lewis played good for a couple games, but he's kind of fallen back to earth. And then you gotta look at some of the backup players also. I don't understand why we're not playing Austin Johnson more. The same with, and I'm glad to finally see David Mayo get back onto the field and show us what he can do. Nate Ebner, can we please stop playing him at safety? He is a guy that just needs to be on special teams. I don't even know why he's out there half the time. So if we're going to give a grade to the defense, I'm giving the defense a solid B+. They've had their moments where they can't get off the field, but they have kept us in all these games. Special teams without Graham Gano. You don't know what's going to happen without Graham. I mean, special teams have been solid, not spectacular, but they have been solid. So special teams again get a solid B+. And if we take a look at the coaching staff itself with the head coach, Joe Judge in some ways deserves better than what he's having to deal with. I think he's starting to come into his own. I had some questions about him early in the season because I wasn't really understanding what exactly was going on with him. But you know what? I think that he has earned a solid C+. His 2 coordinators, both offensive and defense, I'm giving them a solid B+. And if you take a look at the rookie class itself, Darnay Holmes has shown something. TJ Brunson's really not, played that much. Carter Coughlin got a sack, but he also only has 2 tackles in 6 games. And like I said, we've already spoke about Andrew Thomas. Shane Lemieux looked good in his first seed, his first real start. Matt from Connecticut, as we like to call him. Matt is looking well, as he's playing well in his limited time. Some of the draft class is kind of gelling a little bit and maybe showing some talent. Like I said, Tay Crowder, I'd like to see him play a team outside of Washington. But like I said, you know what? If we have to break it down and give an overall grade to this team, like I said, an overall grade to this team has to be an F, because you cannot give anything but a failing grade for a 1-7 team. But you know what? I feel like there is. Well, we need to grade Dave Gettleman. And I'm going to give Dave Gettleman an incomplete because I'm not sure what's going on with his draft class, because at this point in time, they do seem to be gelling. He is the architect of this defense, building and getting the guys for this team. And I find it interesting if we potentially, over the next 8 weeks, find out that Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, Mott from Connecticut, Nick Gates, and they're able to fill the 4 out of the 5 offensive line spots, and then he built this defense. He's not a bad run for Gettleman. They just need to find a way to win. Gettleman's not losing these games. Joe Judge and Daniel Jones are losing these games. So I'm going to still give an incomplete to our old buddy Dave Gettleman. But as a total breakdown of this team, like I said, you need to give them an F, because there is no way you cannot give a team that does not have a winning record or even a facsimile of a winning record at 1-7 anything but an F. And like I said, I don't have high hopes for the season after this, because the fact that we do have some tough, we got a tough stretch of games coming up after the Washington game, but you never know what can happen. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you like, subscribe. If you know what that means, that'd be awesome.